It's time for Cutting Edge Consciousness with Freeman Michaels and Barnett Bain. Thought-provoking discussions and bold ideas from the edge of possibility.
Freeman Michaels here with my co-host.
Barnett Bain, great to be here. Turning off my phone, my devices.
Yes, turn all your devices
getting
down.
With the program, on the program.
Yes.
Virtual.
That's very important.
Very important. Well, it's great.
There was something you wanted to discuss this morning, but we didn't have a chance to discuss it. So now I'm flying blind, and you have something you want to discuss.
Yeah, I thought we were going to discuss it in the car, but there's never any. We can put people on the moon in this country, but we can't get any cell service
in Malibu.
In Malibu,
that's right.
It's a mystery. It's a mystery.
These are the true.
However,
things. This is what Barnett really ponders in his spare time.
These are the
not quantum physics or anything like that.
No, these are the imponderables.
What would it take to get cell service in Malibu?
Yeah. You know, my favorite thing is on our AT&T. Not that I'm mentioning any names. On our AT&T,
I hope they're not a sponsor anywhere.
Provider, certainly not. On our provider service, they have an app, and the app says when you lose signal, which is every 10 minutes and every 2 miles in Malibu, when you lose the signal, you go to the app and you hit the app, and the app is supposed to send a message.
Oh, you report it.
You report it.
But how can you do that if you're not receiving a service?
This is AT&T. I rest my case. What else is there to say? There is no sense of irony, actually, in that organization either. Because when you bring it up to them, they don't
know what you're talking about.
They're very earnest about it. Just report it.
Just report it.
You have no service? Report it. So it occurred to me that is incredibly dreamlike.
Yes.
It's very, very dreamy. It's a little bit of a trance state, but it's very, very dreamy, not so empowered. But how could we become more empowered vis-a-vis our relationship to the dream? And so as I was driving out here, attempting to get you on the phone, I thought I'm going to see myself reflected everywhere, and I'm going to make a practice of learning to decode reality as if every single thing I experienced was loaded with incredible meaning.
So what are these?
As indeed it is.
Yeah. What are these annoyances reflecting back to you? What is this?
Well, it reflects back a whole lot of things. I have a menu.
That's good.
My impatience on the less integrated side, as well as the magnificence of how intricately everything fits together, and how I take it so for granted. And that when something doesn't fit together, then I really have a sense of the big picture of things.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've talked a lot about your expectations and how they play out as, how we find illustrations for these expectations that are held within us.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you can change your expectation of AT&T.
You can, absolutely. You can.
No, you. Change your expectation of AT&T,
Well, I'll
man.
tell you. Theoretically, yes, I absolutely could.
Yeah.
However, if the beliefs and expectations, the thoughts, the thinking, the choices, the decisions, the attitudes, the feelings that I would need to own, and the depth to which I would require me owning them, would be so enormous for me to move that needle, which is viable.
Yeah.
That long before I could change AT&T, how else might my life become miraculous?
So basically, there are easier paths.
Well, it's like, could we theoretically walk through walls and on water? Well, yes, but I would have to own and believe that I create my own reality.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, to such a degree that long before I ever approach that, my life would be so. I have no ability to perceive or conceive what that might be like, but I certainly wouldn't need to walk through walls or bother about AT&T.
That's right. No, it's really interesting because I had an experience when my business was coming apart, and a friend of mine said that the only thing that they could advise me was to be grateful. And of course, I wanted to kill them at the time.
Exactly.
Because at that moment in time,
I wasn't.
if
you get out of my face.
Yeah. At that moment in time, I wasn't in a state where that was the next stage. I was in a state of still the grieving and the watching my world as I had constructed it come apart. And yet, ultimately, of course, that was the answer. That at some point I went, oh, if I really accept this, if I own it, if if I pull it in, see all the parts of me that it's reflecting, then it takes on a totally different meaning.
That's beautiful.
Which of course brings us to
people often
it doesn't.
do that. Well, it doesn't quite, but it will in about 30 seconds.
Okay, good.
But people often, it's such a trigger thing when people say, "Well, why don't you're a metaphysician or you're a magician or whatever.
Right,
it is.
right.
Why are you doing that? Why are you sick?" And of course, you want to kill them. And so long before one can get to that place, part of it is acknowledging and respecting the various parts of ourselves that are developmentally arrested at different degrees of and empowerments vis-a-vis the functioning of life, and they have other agendas. And